Pretty game though, because it's time for Round the Car Guy, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to talk about something that you might not have thought about, is what Ryan said when he got here.
And the first thing I do want to ask before we roll into this is, last week Suzette had the opportunity to sit in your chair, do your job, and today she's filling in, she's doing Jackie's job. I'm just curious, who's got the tougher job here? I mean, besides Jason.
I'm trying to get her to do weather.
Well, I tell you what, like I said, Lou his chair stinks. I do not like his chair. So I'm happy to be in Jackie's seat.
It has an odor to it?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's
I
just,
thought you were going to say it stinks.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
comfortable at all.
I was going to bring some
I was going to say another
Febreze.
word, but
Well, you stand a lot.
Well, that's just it. I don't use it very often.
yeah. So actually, I enjoy it. Plus, I get to read the news, and it's fun. I don't want to choose, but
She likes Jackie's better.
I like.
Well, and I just found
like
out today
sitting
they
there.
actually have a ledge they can put their feet on over there. I've never
Yeah.
had one of those over here. So
With
that's
It makes
dangle.
a huge difference.
with a dangle.
Yeah, we're danglers over here.
Suzette's got a dangle over there.
Dongle, we're dangling.
Yeah, Lou and I are dangling.
Danglers. Yeah,
Can
exactly.
we say that on TV?
Yeah, to talk about our
We
feet.
did.
All right, awesome.
All right, so what are we talking about there, young man?
We're going to talk about turbochargers.
Which, tell everybody what a turbocharger is.
You know, a turbocharger is a device that more cars have. We've got a picture of one up here. That's a nice picture
Oh,
of a
yeah.
turbocharger.
I love that. I love
basically,
mine.
what happens with turbochargers is they take the exhaust that's coming out of a car, and it goes into that pipe, and it spins a turbine like a large fan, and that fan in turn compresses, and it actually packs and forces more air into the engine. And by forcing the air into the engine, then we can give it more gasoline and we can create more power.
Okay.
So a turbocharger, basically it takes a smaller, less powered engine and forces it to make more power to drive the car and operate the vehicle and stuff. And some of the advantages of a turbocharger are with a smaller engine, we can get better fuel economy. And we can also have less weight in the vehicle and yet provide the same amount of power that people are used to.
With a bigger engine.
Exactly. And diesels for years have had turbochargers on them because
You'd hear them whine.
Exactly. And they have a lot of torque, but they don't have a lot of oomph. And that's what that turbocharger does. Is it takes a very, very sluggish diesel engine and gives it the drivability qualities that we're used to and that we want to use. So they've been very popular on diesels for years, but they're becoming increasingly popular on gasoline cars like you and I drive. And a lot of people aren't even aware that their vehicles have turbochargers on them, but they're popular on Chevrolet models. A lot of the Chevrolet Cruze have turbochargers on them. Certainly pretty much anything you buy with a diesel engine in, it's going to have a turbocharger. Volkswagen's using a lot of them. Subaru's had them for years.
Now, is
like
that
the
just because the
WRX.
engine sizes are getting smaller?
Well, exactly. And it's all back to, and you've heard me talk about it, the push for the government, CAFE, corporate average fuel economy. They want these cars to get the best fuel mileage they possibly can, so we can put a smaller engine that weighs less and uses less gasoline and then create the power through a turbocharger. And what people need to realize is that fan, so to speak, the turbine in a turbocharger, those things will spin at 15, 20,000 RPM. I mean, they're spinning very, very fast. That's that whining noise that you talked about that you hear. And in the same oil that lubricates your engine, lubricates the turbocharger, but it goes through a passage that's smaller than a pencil.
Okay.
And so it's very important that the oil be changed on a turbocharged engine to provide adequate lubricant so the turbocharger doesn't fail.
Right.
And it's also important to remember that turbocharger builds up a ton of heat. So it's harder on the oil that's coming through it. So therefore, the oil change intervals on a turbocharger need to be a lot more frequent than on a gasoline engine. And you need to use a good quality oil. And I can say here, every turbocharger that we've ever seen that came in had failed because of an oil-related problem.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah, I mean they will infinitely last, provided the lubrication is there.
Wow.
And when it's not, they don't last.
What's the
very
biggest
long.
culprit when it comes to people that aren't changing their oil? What's the thing that prevents it from being lubricated the most? Is it gunk? Is it just the oil breaking down?
The oil breaks down and can't do its job, and then that is what creates the gunk. I mean, we've seen it both ways to where the bearing in there just turns blue from heat because there was oil flowing through there, but as oil gets old, it breaks down. It isn't as good. It can't do the job that it once did. It's got
dirty.
Yeah, it's got wear additives and protective agents, and it's not the oil that wears out. It's the stuff they put in it to make it work that wears out, and so that wears out, and then you just got liquid crude oil rolling through there. It doesn't lubricate, and that fails, or people don't change it often enough, and with the heat. It builds up sludge and gunk, and of course it's going to plug up the smallest passages first, and then it starves them for oil.
Do you have to change it more often than you would normally?
Absolutely, and use a higher quality oil. Most manufacturers that have turbocharged vehicles, let's say they recommend an oil change every 7,000 miles. On a turbocharged vehicle, they'll recommend it every 4,000. And then the other thing that the manufacturers do is that pretty much all of them require a full synthetic oil.
Oh, they do.
Exactly, yeah, just to make sure that you have the highest quality product that's in there. But they're more and more popular. A lot of people don't realize their cars have a turbocharger. They just buy the car and drive it, and they're unaware of it. And the maintenance is very critical on those. It's an expensive component. I mean, it'll be $2,000-3,000 bucks.
1990, I was lucky enough to have a Dodge Omni GLH turbo in college, and the ladies loved it. But I remember it leaking, the turbocharger, and them having to put a dye in it and having to find out where it was leaking. I'm assuming that they're built better than they were back then.
They are, and they're built much better, but still the maintenance is the key to it because they will come in leaking. Well, we've repaired. We just did on an Audi recently. It had an oil consumption problem. It had 2 turbochargers. And both of them were leaking on the seals, and it was sucking the oil into the engine, so it was burning the oil. And of course, the only replacement's the only correction for that.
Oh, wow.
You buy a pair of Urbandale. Do you remember what the GLH stood for on your Omni?
I believe I can say it on the air. It goes like hell.
Exactly.
I thought maybe great little car.
It was fast.
Yeah,
it was a fast little car.
for that era.
I'm not saying it was tremendously built well, but it was a fast car.
Well, no, because it had that Omni attachment to it.
Right.
Take a piece of black tape and put it over that thing, you're fine.
There we go.
Just
There
a
we go.
GLH.
The other thing I just wanted to touch base quick on, because people may or may not know this, is it's cold out this morning. It's 5 degrees. And just keep in mind, I'll put a plug in for Westside Auto Pros. We do have 5 mobile service vehicles, and we provide jump starts, mobile battery replacements, that type of stuff. So if you go out and unfortunately you have a problem with your car starting, we're going to be busy today, but we'll make time for you.
Well, obviously, the easiest thing to do is somebody with a cell phone. If they go to their car and their car's not working, what do they call? What number do they call?
They can either call the shop number 225-9090, or you can call the driver directly, and that is 309-1911. And I recommend people do that. Just go to your cell phone and put battery in as the contact, and add 309-1911. And that way, when you do have a battery problem, you call it, and then the guy driving the van will answer the phone.
There you go. It's even easier.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Well, Happy New Year.
Well, thank you.
Okay, have a great one.
Yeah, welcome
now
back.
You're going to be going to Mexico, is that what I understand?
I am, but you'll have Joe the car guy
That's
for a few
awesome.
weeks.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, have fun, my friend.
He does a great job, and he always gives
nice.
great specials while you're gone. And you don't know about it.
Yeah,
As long as he knows you're out of the country.
yeah, the P&L shows that.
Yeah, I believe it.
It is
Big L.
6:53. We'll be right back. You're watching Iowa's Morning Show. This is Great Day.